I want to bring in former Director of National Intelligence, General James Clapper. Do you think that this is a breakthrough?
No, not really. I think it's a great historic moment, almost to the day. The 27th of July marks the 66th anniversary of the beginning of the armistice, and as Will indicated, first time a sitting president ever set foot in North Korea. But I think when it comes to the hard business of negotiating here, I think that's another story. I personally don't believe the North Koreans have long-term any intent to denuclearize. Why should they? It's their ticket to survival. And they're just not going to do that. And moreover, why should they do that when they've watched our performance, where a future would suggest to them a future administration could abrogate an agreement, just as this administration has done with Iran.
And Fareed Zakaria is also with us. This, Fareed, was off the cuff, to quote the president, and it sure seemed that way because you had senior officials who were scrambling. Does this kind of method, while unprecedented, unusual, does it work?
Well, I don't think one should instinctively be opposed to everything Donald Trump does, and so no, I think it could work. Presidents have been impulsive and instinctive, and sometimes those traits are useful. The part that I worry about, other than the fact that there is a kind of high-wire act to this, because it's somewhat unscripted, is that President Trump has been consistently more eager to do this deal than the other side. So he has given away what were often regarded as rewards in return for pretty much nothing. So the United States president meeting with the leader of North Korea was regarded as a plum prize that no administration had granted. The president gave that away. The United States president visiting North Korea was regarded as a great prize. That was given away for pretty much nothing. The reason that this is important is, of course, North Korea is a rogue regime. It's a regime that has always searched for survival, respectability, legitimacy, and these are traits that the U.S. president can confer on North Korea. And we had always taken the position that in return, we wanted some steps toward denuclearization, towards a less aggressive policy. I mean, remember, this is the world's most repressive regime. It is still building and stockpiling nuclear weapons. It's temporarily stopped testing them. It is still firing ballistic missiles. So the concessions that have been made so far have not really been reciprocated by North Korea. So just from a fundamental point of bargaining, it doesn't seem like so far we've gotten a good deal other than some great photo ops. And that's my real concern.
I want you to listen, Director Clapper, to something that President Trump said after this meeting.
President Obama wanted to meet, and Chairman Kim would not meet him. The Obama administration was begging for a meeting. They were begging for meetings constantly, and Chairman Kim would not meet with him. And for some reason, we have a certain chemistry or whatever.
I wish we'd had a split screen with your face because you had a very puzzled look as you listened to that. What's your reaction?
Well, I don't know where he's getting that. In all the deliberations that I participated in on North Korea during the Obama administration, I can recall no instance whatever where President Obama ever indicated any interest whatsoever in meeting with Chairman Kim. I just, that's news to me.
News to you. All right, so you know better, as well as anyone who's been involved in this space, the difficulties that talks with North Korea can lead to. The last summit failed. Do you think, I mean, to Fareed's point, not shutting down the idea that this, we don't know at this point, but do you think that things are at least headed in a better direction?
Well, sure. And to Fareed's point, photo ops at the DMZ are always better than long-range missile tests or underground nuclear tests. That's a given. I do think it would be useful, though, if we got down to some hard negotiation, like agreeing on what denuclearization actually means, and asking the North Koreans the question, what is it would take for you to feel sufficiently secure so that you don't need nuclear weapons? And in the absence of knowing the answer to that question, I think it's very hard to set out a negotiating strategy.
One of the things that came out of this, Fareed, is the president actually invited Kim Jong-un to Washington. Do you see this happening?
Well, with Donald Trump, anything is possible. But again, one would hope that the pattern this would take would be You carefully try to work out some of the issues Jim Clapper was talking about at the level of deputies and undersecretaries of state and negotiators, and that the summit becomes the reward, becomes the capstone, not the stepping stone for a process. Remember, Panmunjom, the place that they met, is the place where the armistice for the Korean War was negotiated. That armistice took almost 3 years. It took almost as long as the war itself. It took 1 year, more than 1 year, to negotiate just the prisoners of war exchange. So and during that entire process, the North Koreans, then as they are now, were very tough, very shrewd negotiators. So I think that, you know, there's a danger here that the photo op and the feel-good atmospherics kind of overshadow the fact these are very tough negotiators. They have a very different view of the world and view of their security than the United States does. I would suspect a better strategy would be to get China involved, to get Russia involved, to put collective pressure, but also collective security guarantees to the North Koreans. But Donald Trump really wants to wing this alone. He wants to come across as the guy who single-handedly swooped down and managed to save the world from a crisis that he largely pumped up earlier in his administration. So we're not going to get that. We're going to get this kind of very there will be a circus-like atmosphere here. I think Jim Clapper is right. It is better this than missile tests and buildups. But there is going to have to be hard work. There's going to have to be long, hard negotiations if this actually results in the denuclearization of North Korea. The great danger, Brianna, that I think everyone is worried about is that Donald Trump is so eager for a deal that he will settle for half a loaf or even a quarter of a loaf, which will leave North Korea with nuclear weapons.
Fareed, thank you so much. General Clapper, thank you for being with us on this Sunday.